I'm ready. I'm ready for tonight's party. We're having a big cocktail party online tonight. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit, but my guest is Mark Laguë. Mark, what are you going to do for us today?
Hey, Eric. I'm going to do a small cityscape.
Terrific.
And given the time constraints of the format, I'm going to do sort of an alla prima thing, sort of in the vein of the old Charles Hawthorne book, Hawthorne on Painting, where he talks about literally all painting is laying one patch of color next to the other. So with some little variations, I'm going to try to keep it like that. I've pre-mixed all my colors and values. So, because given the short time format, you can spend so much time, mixing and things. So,
absolutely,
I'm ready to just jump right in.
Okay, well, I want to show some of your work just so people have a feel for what you do. Absolutely stunning work. Now, you and I met years ago, probably 18 or 19 years ago in the Adirondacks. We painted together for a day, and just your work is so beautiful. It's a lot different than it used to be. You've kind of picked up a style that is uniquely yours. I don't think anybody in the world is doing anything like this. It's absolutely stunning. Just beautiful, beautiful work. There's a couple more here I'll show. Just really love the energy. So let's do this. I'm going to put you on full screen.
Okay.
You're on.
Yeah, I'm just flipping my camera and moving it closer to the painting surface.
Oh, okay. Terrific. Okay. Excellent. That's a good view. Thank you.
Is that good? Is that close?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, very nice.
Actually, a little closer.
Yeah, when we're using camera phones, they got to be pretty close to get close up.
Yeah.
Now it'll be interesting. It looks like the canvas might be a little out of focus, and it's focusing on the.
Oh, you know what? Just have to move it. I think the iPad's blocking it a little. Is that
there
better?
We go. Yeah, I think so. Perfect. Okay, this is exciting.
All right, so like I said, actually, you know what? Do you mind if I just tip it down to show the palette? I'll only need to show the palette once because I'm not going to be mixing anything. Like as I said, it's all pre-mixed.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
So
sure.
We'll just point it down and show. These are my patches that I've pre-mixed, and the important thing, and like he details in the Hawthorne book, is color matters so much less than value. So if you see, I've really basically only got the four basic values. My white, my black, and light middle and dark middle. So if you think of it more in terms of value than color, you're going to have a much more successful sort of structure to the work. So I'll start right in with the black. So like that will give me something to base it off of. Like this. It just gives me a sort of a. I can't think of the word right now, but like a touch point to base everything else off of. And I'm not thinking about it that it's a car or whatever that I'm painting. I'm really just focusing on the shapes that I'm seeing. I'm really squinting down, and the more you can separate yourself from the what you're painting and focus on well, like I said, values. It's really all about values.
What I think is interesting watching you already is that the temptation for many of us is just to draw in lines, and
right.
And you're really doing it in almost horizontal brush strokes in most cases.
Yeah, and I'm kind of forcing myself to use flat brushes and not tiny ones, given that this is only a little 12 by 12, even this is a fairly large brush to be using on this this size, you know. So I'm just dabbing in little spots to kind of anchor where my big pieces will go.
Kind of a
But
road
yeah,
map.
you're exactly right that I'm not like putting a line around things, you know. Because to do that is to think of them as things, think of them as cars and objects, as opposed to pieces, patches of value, which, you know, the same thing as patches of color, because every color has a value.
Now tell us what you were just doing. You were wiping out with a tool.
I was wiping out with this. It's called a Princeton Catalyst Wedge. It's a fairly hard rubber, but it works really well to like kind of squeegee things. So you can do that too. It gets you right down to the surface, you know. So it's like painting on the. I mean, oftentimes I'll lay in a total mother wash everywhere, in a mid-value turquoise or something, and then I'll carve back my lights with that tool. And the reason I'm not doing that here is because, you know, it probably takes a little longer because you have to wait for little things to dry a little bit or whatever, you know. So I figured for this, like I'm not going to absolutely faithfully keep to it, but my mindset is literally like your last stroke first, you know, like as I'm laying it in, I want that to be, you know, like if I'm successful, that dark area I just laid in there, that's the tire of a car in the background will still be there. You know, I won't have covered everything all up. Like I said, that's in theory, that's what I'm after, but you know, I certainly won't be adhering to that 100%, but in essence, I will be. And like when I'm dealing with this area here, where it's like the windshield of the bus, you don't even really have to squint down, but if you do squint down, you see like I'm just going right through into what's beside the bus, because there's no value change there at all. And that's right. Where when people tend to use lines, they get into trouble because they want to delineate that edge of the bus with what's next to it, when in actuality, it's really all just one flow through shape, you know. Again, the best reason to use a big brush, and especially a flat brush, because with a flat, you know, you can use the tip to get linear areas, but, you know, I try to avoid that.
Is that a soft brush?
It's a hog bristle chungking. It's a Robert Simmons Signet. Mm-hmm. Actually, luckily, I found a place in Edmonton, in Canada, that I can get them from, because I stopped being able to. A law about, because of like animal poaching or whatever, they made it so that any natural hair brushes I can't get sent in from the U.S. Yeah. So
I wonder if that's about to happen in the U.S.
Oh, it is. It is from the U.S. That's why they're. When I made an order from Jerry's Artorama or whatever. It came without the brushes that one time, and when I phoned, they explained that's why it happened.
Well, what I was wondering is whether or not we're going to end up not being able to buy natural hair brushes here.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they are making better synthetic ones, but I really like the natural hog bristle.
Well, you know, I don't imagine people are stopping to eat ham, so it'll be interesting, you know.
No, exactly.
They're gone anyway. Why not make good use of them?
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, the amount that they use to make a brush, you know, it's. So I'm still squinting down, and I'm really mostly focusing on my most extreme contrast areas, like underside the overpass there. You know, there's it's for all intents and purposes, it's a black, you know, on the value scale. Especially if my mindset is my value scale is basically in the 1 to 4 range right now. You know, anything that's quite dark, like this whole area here, would be considered a black in my mind. You know, even though there is some nuance in there. You know, I might get to a little of it later, but for the most part, you know, the painting's going to read a lot more successfully if I oh, sorry, knocked the camera there. If I, you know, sort of average everything out. And that's why I like to, you know, when I teach, especially especially drawing, you know, the idea of a four value drawing, where you have to decide, you have to commit. You know, it's either a 1, 2, or 3, or a 4, which would be a white, a light mid value, or a dark mid and black. And because otherwise you're just carrying too much, you know, your value structure weakens when you start to, like, you know, if you're dealing with 4 and then you cut all that in half and you're starting dealing with the, you know, the value between the light mid and the dark mid, and yeah. So I'm going to want to like dive right into to pure color very shortly. I just want the really the my main structure, and to kind of hide the pure white that's here, just for the sake of where there is going to be pure white. You know, if you have pure white everywhere, the areas that are going to be pure white aren't gonna stand out as they should.
Is that Queen Street in West Toronto?
Yes, it is.
Wow, we've got good listeners. They're paying attention.
Oh, I thought you came up with that on your own.
No, yeah, I did. Yeah, sure. We have a big international audience. I'm putting some of them on the screen from time to time.
Okay. This is similar to the tool I was just using, but it's obviously a pointed one, so you can get pull out nice little shapes here of the reflections. And this is just a brush with no paint on it, and it's but it can't be too soaked in my mineral spirits, because then I would just be getting explosions, you know. And I don't want my purpose to use it just to be blending everything. I'm not looking to blend so much. Like I said, it's really more just to eliminate the harsh whites, so I can get a better idea of my overall value construct.
I love the energy so far. It's incredible.
Okay, so now I'm going into and this is where I'm going to try to stay pretty faithful to my initial concept of, I've pre-mixed up these batches, and you know, I'm not going to be really mixing or even necessarily thinning much paint. You know, I just want to lay in, like I'm laying in a patch here that's sort of the mid dark value on the hood of the car here. And for the sake of like, there's a subtle shift between the hood of the car and the windshield, where it might be like, they're both mid values, but one's leaning a little lighter. But for the purposes of my squinting down, I'm gonna treat it all as one thing here, even though I'm like, yeah, it's a little bluer there, but I'm kind of ignoring reality for the time being. I mean, I may adjust that, but at this stage, I want to keep things as unified as possible.
big blocks of shape.
Sorry?
Big shapes.
That's right. That's it. It's all about shapes. That's the hardest thing to convey, especially when teaching more beginners. You know, they'll come to a workshop with photos of a place that has sentimental value to them. But when I tell them there's not really good shapes in it, they have a hard time sort of separating that, you know.
What is the black you started with?
My black is French ultramarine mixed with transparent oxide red. No, transparent earth red. I used to use the transparent oxide red, which was the Rembrandt. But then I saw Gamblin was making this transparent oxide or transparent earth red, and you can get it in bigger tubes, and it's actually even richer than the Rembrandt one. Because that was in Richard Schmid's book. He talks about that's a color that he was very would use a lot. There's no point in waiting around to get right into your your biggest contrast in value and your most intense hues as well, because I see some real red warmth happening just on the underside of the headlights here. So while I've got this going, I can start going right into what's on the side of the bus there. And because I've laid in my darks nicely, I'm very confident that I'm laying this in, you know, where it should be, which, especially when you're painting this directly, you know, any going back and having to fuss is only going to hurt the painting.
Brilliant. Just brilliant. I'll remind everybody that we have prizes today. If you leave comments, we will pick from the comments. The winner of the digital subscription to Plein Air Magazine is Eliton Salas Roberto from Brazil. Thank you for watching. Congratulations. Today's prize is a Plein Air Magazine apron. Make sure you leave a comment, and we'll pick a winner from the replay after the replays tonight.
And also, right now, I'm going to go in with some pure white, opaque pure white.
What kind of white do you use?
I actually use Permalba white. It's very opaque. It's made by Weber.
Yep.
It's the only. I don't use any of their other paints. I mean, I'm not getting paid for, or I'm not getting. I'm not sponsored by any of the companies I mentioned. So. See, I'm still, even though I'm getting into a little more what would be considered detail, I'm still mostly concerned with the big planes, you know. So as I turn the corner here on the front of the trolley car or the bus or whatever it is, and I'm even picking up this same color and value that's here, even though it's not necessarily that. But if I squint my eyes, it's again, for the sake of unity and cohesion. You kind of have to like force yourself not to fall for, you know, because there are a lot of little things going on in there. But the trick is, again, squinting your eyes, and but it's not just the squinting of the eyes. Like it's a concept, you know. That's why my favorite book of all time, Charles Reed's Painting What You Want to See, and the whole idea there is you know, it's about how you edit what you see, and don't just slavishly copy everything. You know, it's about giving the painting what it's calling out for.
I thought I'd heard of every book, but that's one I've never heard of.
Really?
Yeah. I'll be buying that one today.
They actually put it back into print. It's a gem. I mean, I think in its day, it outsold, like, and certainly in terms of what would be considered an instructional book, but it's so much more than that. You know, it's.
Is it RIED or REED?
REID. He's one of the best watercolor painters ever, but he teaches really more about principles and values and things. You know, he's a very good oil painter as well. Well, he passed away. It's probably a couple of years now. See, I'm sort of trading off between not lingering in one area for too long, but also when I'm there trying to get my shape as accurate as possible. You know, I'm certainly going to have to go back and restate some things and tie some things up. But, like, again, the overall idea of what I'm trying to get at here is as direct and fresh and spontaneous. Like, it's spontaneous in spirit, but it's really not, because I'm being fairly careful, and and I'm not working all that fast even. It's almost like, you're trying to, by working slowly, to make it look like it was easy or something. Paper towels, like, one of the most important tools you can use, just in terms of getting your surface back so that it's really ready to accept paint, without getting it all clogged up, and especially with oils, if you try to lay an opaque white or a light opaque layer over, say, this red, it's really a fool's errand, because you're going to end up churning up what's underneath, and your white will just turn out to be a kind of wishy-washy pink. And that's why in areas like that, especially if it's a small thing, you're going to want to go in with a knife and really lay it in confidently and boldly. Here, I'm just linking up shapes here. This dark here, and it goes right back into that side. If I can really make the whole painting two pieces, a light and a dark, that I know that's very simplistic, but it's kind of got to be the mindset. Please, if you could, let me know how I'm doing on time every now and again, because once you get lost.
You're right now you have probably 30 minutes left.
Okay.
Yeah, you're doing real well.
See, here's what I call painting through. And sometimes it's hard, especially if you lay in an area that you did some really nice brush work, and it's but, like, I'm feeling too much separation. To me, the number one thing that I warn against is you never want anything to look cut and pasted down. And that's the problem you get into when you're concerned more with what you're painting than the shapes of what you're doing. Because if you're concerned with what it is, then you forget that it's really, it's about, it's the way I've just created this kind of flow through here. It kind of knits everything together.
Somebody asked what colors you use to create that blue on the car.
I've got manganese blue hue, turquoise, and they're either Winsor Newton or Gamblin. I kind of use both of those. And there's probably some of that, probably some of my black, which is the the transparent earth red and the French ultramarine. Again, one of those is the ultramarine is Winsor Newton and the earth red is Gamblin.
I was over at the Old Holland factory in Holland.
Okay.
And they told me they were discontinuing manganese blue. It was they said that it was getting hard to source the actual manganese, I guess.
Really?
So you've got a hue, so that I guess that means it's been created from other colors.
Yeah. It works fine for me. It's way cheaper. I get, yeah, it's manganese alone. Yeah. I like the ones that I can get in the big tubes, you know, because I work large mostly. And yeah, it seems they're sort of phasing out the cadmiums now as well. And actually, I found the Winsor Newton, I can get it in big tubes and it's like a series 1. It's as cheap as can be. It's just called bright red. And I tested it. I did color charts, mixing it with tints and with shades and everything else. And I let it dry, opaque, and putting it on with a knife. And if anything, it was a little warmer and brighter than the Cad Red. So that's what I use now.
State the name of that color again.
Just bright red.
Bright red.
Bright
and
red.
That's a Gamblin color?
No, that was Winsor Newton.
Oh, Winsor Newton.
Can you see that?
They had one, I think it was called Ferrari Red, which I think is the same one.
Okay.
It's very bright.
Maybe they got sued by Ferrari, so they had to change it.
Never thought of that.
See, I'm doing a little bit of blending there, but it's all mixing on the canvas. You know, I'm not mixing any paint on my palette right now because I've predetermined. I'm
loving this. This is fabulous. I think we're selling out Amazon on that book.
Okay.
Hey, you guys, pay attention and go to Amazon later.
Yeah, seriously.
So we're having a cocktail party tonight online. Anybody who wants to participate, I'll give the URL later. But that's why I put the booze up there.
Yeah, I was wondering that you were starting to drink.
I'm drinking early now. I start about noon.
That's a COVID thing, I guess.
Well, I'm going on vacation on this week, and so I guess I could start early.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's right. I'm looking forward to having a week where I could just read.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been doing this like every day, one of these every day, among other things, it seems.
Yeah, this is day 337.
Does that include weekends even?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I did. So we do 2 a day. We do one at noon, and then we do one at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
I had a YouTube expert tell me this week, he says, I can't believe how much content you guys are pumping out. He said, nobody does that much content. And especially the length, because they're each an hour.
Right.
And so I did the 7 days a week at noon for 7 months. And then I stopped at 7 months, and I only do 5 days a week on this. But the other one I do 7 days a week because I can pre-record those.
Right. See, here's an example of the opacity of the Permalba white. You
go pure, or do you add
pure, nothing added to it. I don't use any medium. I just use odorless mineral spirits to thin my paint. But in a case like this, it's just straight out of the tube.
I like that square palette knife. You can really get control with that.
Yeah, that's see, when you're going for these like final touches, you don't have to wait till the end of the painting, you know, because I'm not going to be laying glazes over it or anything, you know, which would obviously you know, churn all this up and destroy it. But when you're with the approach is, like I said, the last stroke first, you're really just going for the essence, you know.
Mark, do you do workshops?
You know what? I certainly haven't done one in the U.S. since I was denied entry trying to go to Nashville. Like, that's got to be 7 or 8 years ago now. Yeah.
Well, they can, once the borders are open, people can go to Canada to do a workshop.
Yeah, it's true. I know. I really should, or even in Mexico or France or something too. I know a lot of people do that, but
yeah, Canada is very particular about letting people come in here and work.
Yeah.
We have somebody we work with that's up in Canada.
Okay.
I've put on the screen. I've put the link to where to find out about the cocktail party. If you go there and register there, we'll send you the link, because I can't put a big long Zoom link in here. It's crazy. Mark's website is marklaguë.com. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
So again, any blending that's happening here is mixing on the surface itself. So now I've got all the brushes that I set aside of all those colors are in play now. So it's really it takes a while to set it all up initially, but once you're in this place now, it's just, I guess it's like what pastel artists do. You know, you're just picking up a stick. Although they would have a lot more options.
So you're using one color per brush and just keeping that color in the brush.
Exactly. And fairly like not thinned down too much, a little bit, just enough so that it's like thicker than 35% cream, but not much. And again, I'm using this brush with no paint on it and very little mineral spirits. It's just slightly damp. Not so much for blending, but more just to kind of tie things together. The last thing I want is it to look like it's airbrushed or something, you know?
Right.
And again, I'm constantly battling with not wanting to linger in one spot too long, but also, you know, because I'm trying to do a real direct approach, when I'm in that area, hopefully, like I said, last stroke first.
Cocktail party is at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. That way we can get after work for those in California. Although I guess you're locked down anyway, so it probably doesn't matter. But so. Hello, Romania, India, lots of Canada.
Is my mom on?
Probably. Hi, Mom. Tell us again the title of the Charles Reed book.
Painting What You Want to See.
All right.
It's got a different cover, the new one I saw, but it's been like I said, it's been all of his books they reissued, but that one was definitely the best.
I'm trying to get another book done. It takes a lot of time to do these things.
Yeah, no, for sure.
What did you mix to create the aqua green? Or is that it looks to me like it's very close to the radiant green that Gamblin makes.
This one up here, the green there, I actually use permanent green, the Winsor Newton color. And there's probably some turquoise in there and some of the manganese blue. And maybe a little bit of the oxide, the transparent earth red, which just kind of neutralizes it a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm trying to lay the groundwork here to state the cars in the distance there with as little information as possible so that they read. Let's see about the orange part. Well, first of all, there's coming from those cars, there's a nice reflection on the side of the car here. That you definitely want to put in with a knife if you can, because to get that sort of sharp little shape with a brush, it's never going to be quite as spontaneous looking. So I'm just mixing up this orangey color here to get it to the consistency that it's just right for laying in with a knife. And not in the way I laid in the headlights on the car, because that was pure right out of the tube. This is a different thing where I'm just laying these little thin shapes, because the bottom of these reflections, they're kind of pure white at the top, but the bottom of them is orange. So that's why I laid in this area with that mid value enough that these things will stand out just the right amount. And given that they're way back in the distance, I don't want them to be the star of the show. So then now I'm going to do the same what I did with the orange there with my white. So I'm using a knife the same, but I'm gonna I'm mixing up a little pool of it's just the Permaba white straight, but I'm trying to get it to that same sort of, like, if there was such thing as 40% cream, that would probably be the consistency. You want there to be little imperfections in there, to feel the unevenness of the road. And if I can get the headlights in there too, I just want that to be, I don't want to get into the license plate or
What is your painting surface? Looks like it might be a board?
It's masonite. It's a masonite panel that I double gesso with acrylic gesso. I do that with like a very large house painting brush. So it gives a little bit of tooth to it. Now I'll do it one direction, let it dry, and then do the other direction. I'll do that on like 48 by 48 boards and then cut them down. So that I want to be enough to say the distant cars, that's all in keeping with the sort of very direct painting approach.
So you don't even have to paint a car in there. You just know it's a car.
That's it. That's the idea anyway. And there's some nice reflections happening on the side here.
If you guys are enjoying this, please hit the like or the share button. That would be helpful.
So you're sort of working negatively. I see to make this pole here. Well, actually, I'll establish the base of it a little bit. And to give the feeling of that there's light coming from the sky, I'm carving it out sort of negatively here, but not fussing too much with it. I don't want it to be too blendy, because it's, it's a sidewalk. It's sort of a cobblestone-y sort of sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
So you want the paint to do as much work as possible, like without getting into, you want the detail to be an illusion, sort of. You just get a much fresher painting that way. And like the lines of the sidewalk here, for sure I want to put those in with a knife. Even scrape a little bit, so part of it'll be darker, part of it might be lighter, to give the feeling of a little bit of reflected light in there.
You're getting a lot of praise in the comments. Everybody's loving this. Mesmerized, they say. Someone said, "This is my new favorite."
Have they started the cocktail party already?
Well, you're a humble guy, I know.
My family would beg to differ on that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know. Mine would too. My wife will say, "You're getting a big head. Take the garbage out." I still have that painting you did of our lean-to at the lake.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Forgotten about that. Yeah, back then it wasn't even like I would take a picture of it on my phone, so I would still have an image of it. It's,
Could we even take pictures with our phones back then?
I don't think so. Did I even have a phone? Well, probably 18 or so years ago.
Yeah, probably had some form of phone.
Probably flipped.
We are not. We moved. We're not on that property anymore.
Oh, you're not in the Adirondacks anymore?
No, we are.
Okay.
My dad put his place up for sale.
Okay.
And it hasn't sold yet, to my knowledge. But we bought our own place about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And we're on an island, and so we bring our groceries in by boat.
Really?
That's really nice. You have to bring the family down. We'll host you.
Okay, I'll hold you to that.
All right. Unfortunately, there's nothing to paint there.
This is still in New York State, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're not far from you. We're probably an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, we're about less than an hour to the border of New York State. Here I'm carving around these. I wiped out to get it down to, it's a small value shift, but that's what I want for things that are secondary. It's I don't want this to take away from these lights.
Right.
But I don't want to overblend it either, so that there's it's about freshness and simplifying. Now,
are you going to leave that white as your sky, or will you
depends on the time.
Yeah, but under normal circumstances, what would you do?
Like, that's the thing. This sort of format where you're obviously time constrained, I do sometimes try to do that to myself, but it's hard to to stay disciplined enough to do it when you know you can always, I can just add one more thing, or I can work on it more in the studio, whatever. So like, to answer to your question, it's not something I would even think about in advance, you know. But that's why I kind of go to, like, you know, while I'm moving around so as to not linger in one spot, I also am trying to bring each part to a finish as I do it, you know. And because this whole area here is light and value, you know, I probably, this is just the sort of leftover paint on the brush that has no paint on it, but just to kind of push that back. And you know, this brush I will put into the mineral spirits to clean it off, because but I'm making sure to get all the paint off of it, or all the mineral spirits off of it as I can, so that, because if I took it right from there, from that jar, and went onto my surface, it would be a big explosion of mess, you know.
Yeah. By the way, you've got about 10 minutes left. Z Lee says, how about an Adirondack retreat this summer? We have one. We have one in June. It's the 10-year anniversary of my Adirondack retreat. You can find it at paintadirondacks.com. Come on up. It's fun. We already got 95 people coming.
And what's the cap?
Well, typically I cap it at 100, but because it's the anniversary, I asked the college for more rooms.
Okay.
I can, you know, they've probably got 900 rooms, but
okay.
But I, you know, I have to feed all these people.
Yeah. You know how artists can be.
Yeah, artists eat a lot. But we have breakfast and dinner together every day, and we sit up at night, play music, and paint portraits, and hang out in the bar.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no drinking, is there?
No drinking. No, that'll be tonight. And then we take a sack lunch out with us. We make our lunch in the morning, and we take a sack lunch out so we can be painting all day.
Okay. When you say there's no real good, like, scenery where you are now,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's spectacular.
Are you still on the water?
Yeah, we're on the water. Our place is on an island.
Oh, wow.
And so we get there by boat, and we have a fabulous view. But I've got a woods behind me, and there's just so much to paint around me. It's fantastic.
Oh, wow.
I hardly left camp this summer. Of course, COVID was going on too, but
right.
You know, there's just so many beautiful scenery and trees and old boats, plenty to paint.
In normal times, how much time of the year do you spend there?
Well, now that the kids are in college, we cannot spend enough time there.
Okay.
But we typically will go in. This year we'll go in sometime in late May, and we'll stay. I'm taking a trip of people to Russia in September, and then I'll come back to the lake.
Okay.
And then I've got an Adirondack retreat again in the fall. I normally do it in a different place in the fall, but I was able to get this incredible old historic camp to house us. And so I'm going to do Fall Color Week in the Adirondacks in October.
Nice.
So I'll be there May through October. Wow, that really works.
See, here I'm cheating a little bit from what I actually let some of that color pick up off my brush and kind of dance it along. But like, it has nothing to do with what I see here. This is the painting what you want to see kind of approach, you know. It just comes from experience and just learning that sometimes you just gotta, like, throw caution to the wind. And when you do this, oftentimes you have disasters, you know. It's like,
Yeah, but if you don't try, you don't get
That's
there.
it. It was in the Nicolade's Natural Way to Draw book. He in the introduction, he says, "You're going to make 5,000 mistakes, so you may as well start doing it now." So it's people. That was the one thing I found with teaching. Like, people want to leave workshops with something they can hang on their wall. And it's really hard to convince them otherwise. Like the importance of loosening up and not caring and doing a lot of beginnings. I've always stressed that.
A lot of people go to workshops and then don't pay attention at all. They just want to paint with other people.
Yeah, seriously, it's the best workshop I ever took was with Frank Webb. He came to Montreal and did it at John Abbott College. I mean, back then, I think there were 32 people in the workshop, which was too many for sure. But he was such a good teacher. He's actually still posting work. He's well in his 90s.
I don't know his work. I'll look him up.
He does. He uses big, like 3-inch wide flat brushes, and he does like semi-abstract watercolor. But he's all about design. He's just a great teacher. His book, Web on Watercolor, was really great too.
Do you do any watercolor?
I initially only did watercolor. I really mostly do it for fun now, but it's a fun medium. I mean, it's you have to let it be boss. It's that's why I like to do sort of just sketchy stuff, small stuff. I don't do like really large realized works.
We just did an event called Watercolor Live about 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
We had it was the world's largest art conference, online or offline, and it was just fantastic. I learned so much about watercolor. It got me very excited about it. Now we have Plein Air Live coming up in April.
Right. That'll be your second one like that, because when COVID hit, I guess.
Well, when COVID hit, we did Plein Air Live, then we did Realism Live because we had to cancel our fall figurative conference.
Okay.
Then we did Watercolor Live. Now we're doing Plein Air Live again because we've had to cancel the Plein Air convention.
Right.
And we want to make sure people can get their spring training in before they go outside.
Where was it going to be this year?
Denver.
Oh, really? Have you done it there before?
No, we've tried for 2 years now. We had to cancel last year.
Okay, that was.
And we can't go next year because we couldn't get the space. So next year we're going to Santa Fe.
Okay.
You ever want to come? I'll put you on the faculty. Just let me know.
All right. There, my Canadianness might be an issue, but
we'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
Bring you in by satellite. We're going to be down to the last couple of minutes, so we'll work on this just another couple, and then we'll have you come on camera and say goodbye.
Sure. Okay.
This is fantastic.
I mean, given the obvious looseness of this, I don't, obviously there's so much more I can do, but I've sort of like, in advance sort of accepted that I was going to be stopping well short of what would be considered finished, but in terms of a value study, that's all I'm really looking for. I mean, hopefully people can glean something from just doing a demo like this. At least it's it's showing the looseness of brushwork and what can be achieved through the most simple means possible.
Yeah, that is absolutely beautiful, though. Nobody expects a finished painting in this amount of time, but it's it's fabulous that you've gotten this much progress. I'd say it's very, very close to being finished.
I mean, it's always the thing, like you get the things you get with, when you sacrifice a lot of the detail, you can't get that any other way. It's almost a trade-off. I remember posting something on Facebook where I was really happy. It was a medium largish piece, maybe a 30, 36, whatever it was. And it was, but I did a block in, kind of it was like a watercolor in oils, really, but a very loose block in. And I just posted it like that. And somebody bought it like that. It's like, don't you dare do another stroke on that,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure somebody would buy this one. I love to buy demo paintings because that way I can remember the process they went
Yeah,
through,
exactly.
even if they're not finished. I don't buy many paintings these days with 3 kids in college. Fabulous. All right. I think we're going to ask you to put the brushes down, come back on camera for a second.
All right.
Yeah. That really is amazing how that came together.
Oh, thank you.
So in case you tuned in just late, our guest today is Mark Laguë from Montreal, and his website, if you want to go check out his stuff, is marklaguë.com. Now we get to see your studio space.
That was my mistake.
That's nice. And Mark, you're in, I want to say you're in Ray's gallery. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep. And so I would encourage anybody, if you like that style, go buy a painting. COVID times, we can all use an extra sale or two. Well, Mark, thank you for doing this today. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see you. Come on down, take advantage of that offer in the Adirondacks. You know how to reach me, and we'd love to have you and your family come down. The kids can go hang out. If I know they're not young, but they can bring their families or their friends and just come on, hang out, go boating or water skiing or whatever.
You lived through the day you made this offer.
Yeah, I know, and I've done it publicly, so there may be other people showing up.
It's brilliant.
No,
thanks for having me, Eric.
We would love that. Well, thank you. You're a fabulous painter, and I'm so glad that we reconnected and had a chance to watch you do this. Hang on. I'll come back and say goodbye to you in a minute after I say goodbye to everybody else.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Our guest today was Mark Laguë. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. I want to tell you about a couple of things I mentioned. First off, tonight we have a cocktail party. This is something I just do once in a while. Everybody's invited. We do it on Zoom, and it's just fun to connect and just get to know each other. We talk about just random things. And so join us if you want to. It's at 9:00 tonight Eastern. We do that so the East and the West can all join in. It's a little late for me, but I'll be there. Bring a cocktail or not. You can paint, whatever you want to do, and we'd love to have you. The way to find out about that is just to go to ericrhoads.com and hit /cocktail. So if you do that, that will we'll send out the link one more time, ericrhoads.com/cocktail, and that's going on. Also, remind you guys that we have the 3:00 video today with Jean Peterson, mixed media and doing people, and you're going to get a chance to see how she has some fun with mixed media. And it's important to watch things that you might not necessarily see yourself doing because you learn from everything. So I'd encourage you to do that. Tomorrow, Gavin Glakis is going to be our guest, and you'll get a chance to see how Gavin paints. And so it's nice. We try to get a lot of different variety and styles. Last but not least, I want to mention that you guys should join us for Plein Air Live. The price increase is going to happen on Sunday, and there's going to be, we actually broke the website, crashed the website last time we had a deadline, which created a little bit of a problem. So get it done. It's 100% money back guarantee. If you watch the first day and you don't feel like you got your entire week's worth of money's worth in the first day, we'll refund your money because we want you to be happy. So there's no risk on it. We've got more people we're going to announce today, and then more we're going to announce the next 2 weeks. We're just waiting for all the details to be done. So it's going to be 3 days of demos and painting. Some absolutely brilliant landscape artists. Whether you're a plein air painter or not, you're going to learn a lot about landscape painting from some of the best in the world. And then there's a beginner's day that you can opt in for as well. So make sure you check that out. And also, just want to tell you, we've got a workshop coming up called SOAR Workshops. It's a new concept. If you've not seen this, watch this right now.
Are you an artist who's trying to get to the next level? Learning to paint can be frustrating. And we've met artists who have attended lots of workshops and watched lots of videos, but feel they do not make fast enough progress. Don't feel badly. It's not you. You see, scientists have recently discovered that learning itself is a science. To learn better, instructors need to employ these new scientific discoveries. It turns out that the way you present information helps you retain more. The methods of teaching help things sink in. So instead of retaining 5 to 10%, you retain much more. Now the world has turned to Zoom teaching, which sometimes makes learning harder, thus compounding the problem of learning. At Streamline, we decided we needed to reinvent how we do things. So we studied these scientific learning methods. We interviewed top experts on learning, and we developed a system to help you learn better, faster, while retaining more. Introducing SOAR. Streamline Online Artist Revitalization. Our goal is to make online learning better and help you achieve rapid transformation. Best of all, it won't feel scientific. In fact, great teachers use these techniques and you don't even realize they're being used. Yet you tell yourself, that's a great teacher. And as you start painting, you realize just how much you retained. As a result, you'll transform your painting, and you'll do it faster. And the more you practice, the more ideas will positively impact your painting. You'll be painting better. You'll feel less frustrated. You'll retain more. You'll make faster progress. And you'll be much more satisfied with your painting. Streamline is introducing a series of SOAR workshops featuring top artists who'll be employing these learning techniques. These workshops will not only make you stronger, faster, they will also have new workshop features, like the ability to invest in a one-day pass, and private Facebook pages to communicate with the instructor and fellow students. And there are even follow-up sessions for 3 months following the workshop to reinforce certain concepts. Watch your email for upcoming SOAR workshops from Streamline.
The first SOAR workshop is going to be Bill Davidson, and you can do it live in person, but only 5 people can do that, and I think most of those slots, so there may be one left. And then there is, of course, unlimited online. So join us for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Coming up after that will be Thomas W. Schaller, the great watercolor painter. And it's going to be fun. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks again to Mark Laguë today. Make sure to visit his website, marklaguë.com. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air Magazine. I got my booze out, and so I'm not going to touch it till tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, but then we'll have a drink together. Or if you don't drink, that's cool too. All right, thank you. And day number 337, hard to believe. Tomorrow's going to be my last day live for a while because I'm going to take a vacation. We are going to do replays of some of the best of from the last 337 days. And I'm just going to take a few days. I don't know how long I'm going to take. I'm just going to go until I feel like coming back. All right. So thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.